Hello everybody and welcome along to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We've been allowed to invite in some of our closest friends. Yes, we have a limited number of spectators for what has already been a fabulously entertaining weekend, and just adding a little extra richness to what has already been a very fine meal. We have Porsche Carrera Cup USA by Yokohama. Lexington, Ohio, that's where we are, and since 1962, well actually 1963, since the course was put into the form that it is now, this tight, twisty and technical circuit of Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course has been challenging some of the best in the world. It's an old course, but it's a course that still stands the test of time. We talk about Turn 4, but we also talk about the Carousel and the Keyhole and Thunder Valley. This is a circuit that has names as well as numbers. We've already had one race this weekend. We will have another. This is the middle part of the weekend as IMSA as a series and the Porsche Carrera Cup USA by Yokohama are playing a little bit of catch-up. I'm John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw is joining me to describe the action for you. A field, Jeremy, that is small but perfectly formed here this weekend. Full Gold Cup USA entries and 11 GT3 Cup USA Platinum entries, and you have the grid for us.
Yes, I do. This is round 8 of 16 in this year's Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. 15 cars. There are 11 platinum entries and 4 from the Gold Cup category. Starting at the back in the 15th position, David Brule Sr. in car number 48. And by the way, the qualifying the grid position for this race set according to the fastest laps in this morning's race. 14th on the grid, Efren Castro in car number 65 alongside Bart Collins, who led much of the race this morning in Gold Cup in car number 22. Row 6 of the grid is Joseph Lombardo in car number 92, Richard Edge in car number 18. His teammate from ACI Motorsports, car number 17, Kurt Swearingen, will start in 10th position. Those two separated in their fastest laps this morning by 0.004 of a second. Yes, that close. 9th on the grid, car number 57, is Franklin Razzo. Row 4 of the grid, Michael Manella in car number 4, and Charlie Luck in car number 45. Row 3, Kenny Murillo in car number 56, and Sean McAllister, who yesterday had an engine sensor problem in qualifying, which is why he was struggling yesterday, but came back superbly this morning to get onto the podium in car number 11. Row 2 of the grid, another comeback drive this morning from Sebastian Carrazzo, had an off yesterday in qualifying, that's in car number 27. Alongside the Masters Cup Championship leader is car number 99, that's Alan Metney. Onto the front row of the grid, it's the same front row as this morning, but in a different order. This morning's pole sitter, Riley Dickinson, for more speed, will start second in car number 53. And starting on the pole position, he won the race and set fastest lap this morning in car number 16 for Kelly Moss Road and Race from Canada is Jeff Kingsley.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's the usual situation here at Mid-Ohio, with the cars going past the finish line now, and they'll form up and go side by side. But although the clock has started, the race has not, as they will be given the green flag halfway down the back straight towards turn number 4. Fabulous news coming this week, Friday, of the 2021 IMSA Porsche Carrera Cup USA. Carrera Cup North America, and that will incorporate drivers from Canada and the USA, as well as the rest of North America, and that will start next year with the new cars, the 992s. Up to 20, we are led to believe, will be made available. But that's in the future. We have the 2020 championship to decide, and side by side then, beautiful formation coming down to the green flag. All of the cars in 2 by 2, waiting for the green flag. Jeff Kingsley, does he go for the jump early? There is the flag. He had to wait. It was thrown with some vigour there on the start to stand, and Jeff gets the jump in the number 16 car. That's the white car with the green stripe down the middle. Riley Dickinson does not get a good run, and Sebastian Carrazzo in the bright yellow car with the orange hindquarters and the stripe down the middle has gone through into second place. Brilliant manoeuvre. Alan Metney in the mostly white Porsche with the black roof and the iFly livery on that. He's looking very menacing as well. Kingsley then from Carrazzo moving up into second. Further down the field, the number 11, Sean McAllister for JTX Racing in the shell coloured car. Goes over the top of turn 9 into Thunder Valley as the leaders are already coming round to complete what will be the first racing lap. Remember, 2 classes here. The 991 Generation 2 cars, which will still be eligible next year, and the older 991 Generation 1 cars. We've got some cars from 2014. Kurt Swearingen, in fact, who leads that category, has a 2014 car. What a servant that has been to Porsche Racing and to Kurt down through the years. But it's Kingsley that leads from Carrazzo in second, into third place for Riley Dickinson. Riley Dickinson will be very annoyed with himself there, Jeremy. For the moment, at least, he squandered a front row start.
Indeed so, and he did it this morning as well. He's got to work on his starts, as Riley, the youngster from New Braunfels in Texas, but he's going to try and make his way forward, but at the moment he's under increasing pressure from Alan Metney, and it's Alan Metney who makes a move to the inside to get it, takes over third place ahead of Riley Dickinson. Boy, this is surprising to see Riley Dickinson falling back in his early stage. Going to have a look at the inside of turn 6. I don't think he's close enough unless Alan Metney gives him room, which he does, very gentlemanly like, but he does a good job, does Alan Metney, not only to make sure that he wasn't going to be sideswiped by Riley Dickinson. He left, in case he'd left his brake in a little bit too late, he was able to get a good run off that corner and maintain that third position. So Alan Metney, the master, in third place. When I say master, for the more experienced drivers in this race, in lifestyle.
Yeah, master in life, yes, definitely. And has really hit a pretty rich vein of form this year. Has had some cracking results, including an overall victory, the first in the Masters class since Craig Dewison did that many years ago. And Alan setting off then in hot pursuit of the 27 car of Sebastian Carrazzo, who's just paused there for a moment because I just thought the leader had gone a little bit deep actually into the keyhole at the top of the hill, and I was just wondering whether he's going to get around. He did. Jeff Kingsley survives. He's pulled out a 1.7 second lead, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with Jeff starting, is there? I mean, if Riley Dickinson has a little question mark over his start, you can't say that about Jeff.
You certainly can't. No, he's been absolutely superb, hasn't he? And the other car that's been on the move here at the start is that Apex Capital car that we're looking there, car number 56, driven for such a long time by David Baker. It was a very distinctive looking car with a primarily white, but with blue, yellow and orange stripes on the side. The car looks great. David Baker, he's kind of hung up his helmet. He was involved in a nasty crash at Road America earlier this season. A veteran of this series, 98 starts to his name, but it was a really nasty crash he had. He stepped out of the car, and to his immense credit, he's given a great opportunity here for the youngster from California, Kenny Murillo, to take the wheel of that number 56 car. Murillo now in the 5th position.
Yeah, I had a brush with the law earlier on today when there was a bit of contact, and had to, I think, come through the pit lane, if I remember rightly, Kenny Murillo, but certainly was driving very quickly indeed. Kurt Swearingen puts the fastest lap in for the Gold Cup category. That's the 1:29. The Gen 2 cars do have a little more power, electronically enhanced engine performance there. A bit of tuning on the electrical side of things, and engine management nowadays is the way. In Jeremy and I's days, we would have had the heads off and been polishing the valves and stuff like that. Well, nowadays it's all done electronically. Big lock up by Sean McAllister down the inside of Murillo, and that was almost inevitable, wasn't it? As they came together, huge lock up for McAllister in that JTX Racing car. The front Yokohama's locked up and crying enough. He's managed, I think, to stay out the gravel, don't go any further back. But he was trying to come from a long way back there, Jeremy, down into turn 4, and it just wasn't going to work.
No, it wasn't, and credit to him there. I mean, it would have been much easier to slam into the side of Kenny Murillo. He did a good job to kind of pinch it down a little bit, but in doing so, just lost the back end of the car, and around it goes. But it was a good save. He did keep it out of the gravel, and a brilliant avoidance mover, I think, particularly from Michael Manella in kind of a 4 for MCR Racing. I mean, he was looking almost directly into the eyes, most likely, of Sean McAllister there. But Michael Manella, he's the national sales manager at Nation Safe Drivers, and I think he showed his prowess there in making sure there's no additional contact, or even no contact at all.
Kurt Swearingen then in the ACI Porsche with the white front end and the lime green colourway, including the lime green wheels matching beautifully this weekend here at Mid-Ohio. It's the Chattanooga Whiskey sponsored car as he now sets off. He's inside the top 10 already at a slightly reduced field of platinum cars, but he's been a top 10 finisher on a number of occasions already this year for ACI Motorsports. And the good news for him is he has one of the platinum cars in the shape of the Wright Motorsports, the Lombardo car, in between him and Bart Collins, and that will give him a little bit of cover with Joseph Lombardo in that number 92 car. Just, as I say, giving him a little bit of colour. Oh, China Beach has claimed another victim. And in has gone Bart Collins. I mentioned his name. That really was the curse of the commentator there. I was talking about him, but not praising him. And he still managed to go off the track. Now, what I didn't say, Jeremy, was whether he got a helping hand there or whether that was self-inflicted.
Yes, not sure. He just had a fantastic run this morning. Brilliant qualifying yesterday for Bart Collins. Put that car on the pole position in gold category. That's a first for him. And he led for half of the race. He had a train of cars behind him. He eventually made a couple of mistakes, but it's been, you only learn by making mistakes, don't you? So he's certainly done that this weekend as Bart Collins, and he's just getting closer and closer to the pace, to the ultimate pace here. But unfortunately, that mistake is going to be a costly one, and that's going to cost him at least a lap before he's able to get that car going again.
And a full course caution ensues, as you might imagine. That is a very fast run down the hill to turn 4, and the IMSA Chevrolet safety truck already making its way down there. They've got a selection of very long straps to get errant race car drivers and their steeds out of the deep gravel trap. But the gravel trap did its job there, arrested the speed of Bart Collins in that blue number 22. And the MCR racing car then has already dropped 1 lap, and I would suggest, Jeremy, it might be another one at least, possibly even 2. Nice move by Sebastian Carrazzo early on to get up into 2nd place, and Riley Dickinson now in 4th position. Well, he gets another crack at it, so he'll have another rolling start. There'll be line astern, of course, single file restart, and it will be at the finish line for the green flag restart once we get back under green flag conditions.
Yes, it will, and we've got a tremendous battle in the championship, primarily between Jeff Kingsley and Riley Dickinson, and coming into this weekend, they were separated by only 9 points, and it looked like Riley Dickinson had the upper hand because he qualified on pole for this morning's race, but unfortunately, as we talked about a little while ago, he gave away that advantage at the start, or Jeff Kingsley took away that advantage at the start, led throughout. So Jeff Kingsley has extended his lead by 3 more points coming into this race, which will be the halfway point in the season.
Amazing, isn't it, that we're into late September and we're still only halfway through the season. What a crazy year it has been this year. Difficult to get into a rhythm, of course, if you thought your year was starting in March or April, as many series do. IMSA, of course, had races in January at Daytona for the Rolex. The Porsche series was one of the championships, the IMSA Porsche Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama was one of the series that hadn't really got started. Did they go out for a practice session at St. Pete's but they didn't get to race there with the IndyCar.
Right. I think yeah, the IndyCars didn't get out, but I think everybody else did that weekend to get out and do one practice session. Yeah, kind of a false start to the season.
Immensely frustrating. Now, I think we've got Bart. Yes, well, yes, indeed so. Indeed so. I think we've got Bart going again on the race control channel. It says the car 22 is running slowly or stopped. Yeah. So a little bit dusty, a little bit disappointed, but still running, and no dents in the car. So
there's an NSD there on that car, John, that National Safe Driver. His teammate, Michael Manella, carries those colours, well, different colours on the car, but he carries that inscription as well. He's doing his best as much as he can here to weave around and try and get as much gravel out of that car as he possibly can. And one got to hope he doesn't lay too much of it on the racing line, because that's going to make things very tricky for everybody else.
It's Jeremy Shaw. I'm John Hindorf. You're listening to IMSA Radio as we bring you live coverage of the second round of the weekend for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. Mark Collins then just looking in those front intakes there. The Cup cars still have radiators behind there. Well, they look pretty clean. They do have a protective mesh on the front of those three intakes, one either side in front of the front wheels and the big one in the middle. All kinds of water and oil coolers behind there. Been a long time now since Porsche went to water-cooled engines. The Type 996 was the first in 1990, end of 1997, beginning of 1998. What a history the Porsche 911 has as a racing car. Leading them around a more modern version than that. And the lights are still on the safety cars. It comes down to the scene of Bart's accident and incident a few moments ago. Le Mans last weekend, I noticed they had the new Taycan, using that as pace and safety car for the Porsche Cup race that was held there. The two Carrera Cups from France and Germany, along with a few invited entries from the Benelux countries. And as ever, excitement, incident and entertainment aplenty on the 8.5 miles of Le Mans as the Saturday morning, one of the Saturday morning supports to the 24 hours of Le Mans. Coming down to 30 minutes to go, and the lights are now out on the bright yellow Porsche Turbo 911 safety car. So that leaves the field under the control of Jeff Kingsley. And remember, they will go to the green flag on the finish line, so from the carousel down to turn one, and it will be single file, not as we saw for the start of the race nearly 15 minutes ago. So when will Jeff Kingsley decide to make his move? Answer quite early. Gets good drive out of the carousel. No need for him to defend into the first corner, as Sebastian Carrazzo was nowhere near making a move. Riley Dickinson is the closest, I think, to improving his position. He's got a lovely run through turn one as they climb the hill. Might not be quite close enough to Alan Metney. Alan staying towards the middle of the road before he drifts over to the left-hand side, just covering the inside a little bit. So Alan was feeling the heat there, but it's another great start, or indeed restart, from Jeff Kingsley for Kelly Moss Road and Race, Jeremy.
Yeah, indeed. And the number 4 car, by the way, of Bart Collins did go behind the wall, so it's back in the pits and behind the wall. So I'm sure they'll try and get that car ready for tomorrow. Meanwhile, there's that Shell liveried car, the white, red, and yellow car of Sean McAllister, taking advantage of this caution period and working his way through the field again after that spin a few laps ago.
Yeah, and that's closed things up again, as you rightly say. He still sits in 13th overall. That's 10th in the Platinum, because he's got the 3 remaining Gold Cup cars. Bart Collins in that number 22 behind the wall, as reported there by Jeremy Shaw. Under half an hour to go. We started with 45 minutes on the clock, so a little bit of racing fuel being burned off. The Yokohamas getting put through another heat cycle here. And still the man most likely to improve is Riley Dickinson, the Mo-Speed driver, with that stylised M that looks like claw marks on the front fenders, the front wheel arches of the number 53 car, which was so close in behind Alan Metni as they came down to turn one. You actually couldn't see it. He was driving in the wheel tracks of the 99 iFly car. Again, Metni stays to the middle of the road in the braking area for the turn at the top of the hill, the keyhole. And that's all right. I have no problem. Alan is picking his line and he's sticking to it there, Jeremy. He's not cutting back across onto the racing line in the braking area. I think that's fine. He's just letting Riley know that he knows he's there, and if he's going to go around, he's going to have to go around the long way. I think that's reasonable driving.
I will absolutely agree with you. Car number 48, David Brule Sr. bringing the number 48 car onto the pit lane. Not quite sure why that would be. He was running in the 13th position, unlucky for some. So he's going to make for the pit lane. Has he rejoined yet? No, I don't think he has. But meanwhile, this battle for third place is continuing, and number 99 car has it right now. And Riley Dickinson, though, he wants to get past because he wants to keep himself within striking distance of Jeff Kingsley in the championship. He's already got one car. Well, he got two cars in between them right now, so that'll be a good extended lead in the points for the Canadian if it stays this way.
Yeah, if he's got any communications to the pit wall, I'm sure he'll be letting Sean McAllister, the fast recovering Sean McAllister in that Shell JDX car, through. That is not his battle. He has done exactly that as they come across the start-finish line and into turn one. So the Shell car will come through in 9th position overall and 9th in the Platinum class. Joseph Lombardo still between Swearingen and Efren Castro in that GT3 Gold Cup category. Second place, Carrazzo dropped away by 2.5 seconds to the leader. Great restart, and the pin has been pulled by the white and green Kelly Moss Road and Race Porsche, and its driver Jeff Kingsley has been very, very impressive this season, Jeremy. It's always a tough thing to do to find advantage in a spec series. These cars aren't the easiest to drive. They have the minimum of electronic aids, very unusually for motor racing. We'll get back to that in a moment. David Brule Sr. Came back out, but he's certainly been off the circuit because he's got some grass cuttings in there, and that was his out lap. So whatever they did has either not solved the problem or he's had a further issue. And the problem for everybody else is that if that car with 26 minutes remaining isn't far enough off the circuit, we might have to recover that under a full course yellow again.
Yeah, I think that was
turn one,
probably
by the way, that is.
I think it was on the exit of turn one, on the left-hand side of the racetrack. The good news is there is an overlap there. I think that car might be able to, the marshals, who do a fantastic job here, of course, at Mid-Ohio, as everywhere, might be able to get that car pulled behind the wall sufficiently so we don't have to go full course caution. Let's hope so.
Well, at the moment we stay green with 25.5 minutes to go. Just back to what I was talking about there, Jeremy, and these cars, quite unusually for racing cars nowadays, whilst they do have some electronic aids, it is effectively a two-pedal car nowadays. There's no heeling and towing and having to use a clutch pedal. But other than that, the braking and the acceleration, well, that's all down to driver feel, and Riley Dickinson doing a good job to hassle the number 99 at the moment, but no TCR, no traction control, and no anti-lock braking system, which is very unusual on GT cars nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, and these cars certainly demand a pretty unique driving style. It really isn't applicable to many other cars out there, but the drivers who get familiar with this style, it does take some getting used to, and I think that's certainly the case for somebody like Kenny Murillo in car number 56, who's next in line behind this pair that are dicing for the third and fourth positions, Alan Metni and Riley Dickinson. But it is a bit of an acquired taste, but it's an acquired experience to get the most out of these cars.
Often being said, if you can drive a Porsche Carrera Cup car, you can drive most things quickly. At the moment, Kelly Moss Road and Race have the top 3 positions. Kelly Moss and AM Motorsports, in fairness for Alan Metni, he is the AM of AM Motorsports. He's under the biggest pressure at the moment, guys. Jeff King.
And I'm hearing from the pit lane, the number 48 car, the clutch has given up the ghost as David Brucey tried to leave the pit lane. So that's why that car was pulled off to the left-hand side of the racetrack. Meanwhile, back out on track, this battle continues. It's Alan Metni who has third position, but there's less than a couple of car lengths or so between these cars at the best of times for Alan Metni, the Masters driver. He won the championship, the Masters Championship, each of the last 2 years. And as John Hindhaugh was saying a little while ago, he scored an overall victory just a couple of races ago, the first time for 5 years that anybody had done that, 6 years anybody had done that, and he has certainly been contending at the front in each of the races this season. Across the line they go to complete lap 13. The race leader is Jeff Kingsley. I think he's just matching. He's just really a relatively conservative pace at the front of the field. He knows his main contender for the championship. That's Riley Dickinson in that number 53 car, carrying the colours of the state of Texas on the hood for the Moore Speed team, which is based in Austin, Texas. Riley Dickinson himself from just down the road in New Braunfels between Austin and San Antonio. The youngster is just 18 years of age. The youngest driver in the field is Riley Dickinson, but right now it's the Masters driver Alan Metni who is leading the way in third position. This battle continues, and they're heading over the undulating sections of the track. There's a really tricky part of the racetrack there to turns 4, 5, 6 and 7. It's a very distinctive part of this racetrack. We look back just a little bit further back down the order. In 10th position overall, that's Kurt Swearingen for the ACI Motorsports team, leading in the Gold Cup category. He took another win this morning. It was a hard-fought win this morning. He was running in third place in the early stages, worked his way through and came away with victory number 4 on the season. And that gives him a 5-point edge over Efren Castro, who's a couple of positions behind him on the road, but is in second position in the Gold Cup category at the moment, with still 21 minutes remaining. Kurt Swearingen in that very distinctively liveried car has just set his best lap of the race, 1 minute 27.639, and that was not quite as quick as he managed this morning in the race on his way to taking the victory, but he's got a pretty goodly margin at the moment over Efren Castro in the second place in the class. And then quite a long way back in third position is Richard Edge, who is Kurt Swearingen's teammate at ACI Motorsports.
Interesting battle starting to develop out on track. Jeremy, just watching the gap, sitting here watching the timing screens and the gaps going up and down, but the intervals, I mean, who are you seeing really starting to come in and out? I'm seeing a good battle with Riley and Metni.
Yeah, Shay, there's several battles up and down the field, but certainly the best battle on track is the one that is for third position, as Jeff Kingsley puts another lap in the books, a 1 minute 26.14. Pretty much all of his laps are within 2 or 3 tenths of a second at the moment, and I think he's driving well within himself at the moment. His fastest lap this morning was a 1:24.9. Okay, conditions a little bit warmer now, so track conditions probably not quite as good as they were earlier on today, but I think he's driving well within himself. He's got a good margin now. He's got a gap of over 3.8 seconds it was as he crossed the line last time around, over Sebastian Carrazzo, last year's Gold Cup champion, who's looking to score his best result yet after moving up to the Platinum class for this year.
We've got Efren Castro trying to hunt down Joseph Lombardo, and Efren Castro, who came into the weekend second in points to Kurt Swearingen, now finds himself a little bit further behind in points after this morning's race. So Efren, with a little bit of wiggle coming onto his car, trying to get back up ahead of Lombardo and get himself at least on track next in line to try and hunt down that 17 machine. He's just a little bit too far back this lap through. But Riley Dickinson is really turning up the boosters, if you will. He set the fastest overall Sector 1 that lap around as he continues to try and chase down Metni, but Metni stretched back away through Sector 2 as Dickinson closed once again in Sector 3. This is a fantastic yo-yo effect happening between the 99 and the 53, the car from Kelly Moss Road and Race /AM, and Riley Dickinson of Morris Speed, because Dickinson has the advantage through Sectors 1 and 3, but he's got nothing for Metni through 2.
He hasn't, which is the fastest part of the course on the main straight down towards turn 4. And you've got to be quick there if you're going to make a pass. This is a difficult circuit on which to make an overtake stick, and the best place to do it without a doubt is heading down that long back straightaway down towards turn 4. If you don't have the straight line speed, that's going to be a problem. But here's this battle here between the platinum class car of Joseph Lombardo, driving for Wright Motorsports team. He's from Bath, Ohio, so only an hour or so's drive away here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and Joseph is doing his best here to hold off Efren Castro, who looks to the inside. This is a battle for position on the racetrack, but not in their respective classes. Efren Castro in that yellow and black car is now up into the second place, and he's going to try to close the gap to Kurt Swearingen, but it's already grown to over 4 seconds as we've got now 17 minutes to go in this race.
Yeah, and the issue is that Joe Lombardo car, Jeremy, because that is going to be very quick on the fast parts of the circuit with the slightly enhanced performance that the Gen 2 cars have over the earlier versions, courtesy of those electronic upgrades. Kingsley still leads by nearly 7 seconds now as Efren Castro, 12th position, coming through the final corner and across the straight down towards turn 1, and now having dispatched Lombardo then with 4 seconds between him. You can see that there's no way that you can't see that bright green car, and now that Lombardo in the white and black and red car has been dispatched after a few tricky laps behind him because of that extra speed to which I was referring. It's Kurt Swearingen is in sight, both going up towards the keyhole and going down towards turn 4. It's a lot of real estate to make up though. Swearingen behind Razo, and that's 9th and 10th position, but again you've got to play the long game in the Gold Cup category. He's not really racing that 57 car, so got to pace himself, might even use it as a bit of a drafter, get a bit of extra pace down the faster parts of the circuit, but it's the car behind that he should be worried about. Meanwhile, out front, Jeff Kingsley's not worried about anything, Jeremy. He's cruising along, and over 5 seconds now. This has been another cracking drive.
Yeah, it really has. He's taken full advantage of this opportunity he was given here as well. And you started from the pole position, made a great start and led all the way. He just set the fastest lap of the race 2 laps ago, and this last lap was only about 800ths of a second slower, so he's a really good consistent pace at the front of the field. Not as quick as he went this morning, but he doesn't need to go any faster than he's going right now, doing an exemplary job at the head of the field. And you were just talking about the Kurt Swearingen, and he just set his fastest lap of the race in the Gold Cup category. So Efren Castro's job, even though he can see Swearingen ahead of him, I think that green and white Porsche is getting a little bit smaller in his sights.
Yeah, he's not making that job any easier, for sure. Let's go back to the action further up the field as Alan Metni has Riley Dickinson in his World Tracks. Could have said that 3, 4, 5 laps ago. It's still absolutely true now. Under 15 minutes to go over the top of the brow at turn 9 into Thunder Valley. And these two battling it out for a genuine podium position. Remember, Metni is also in the Masters category, but still a cruise points in the Platinum Cup as well. You can tell the Platinum cars, black door mirrors, and the black edges to the shade bands on the windscreen, and the black rear wing end plates. The 4 Gold Cup cars have the bright yellow wing mirrors, end plates, and edges to the shade bands on the top of the windscreen. So the third and fourth just go around the keyhole Sean McAllister continues to fight his way through the field. Michael Manella was put to the sword a lap or so ago, and now he's got Charlie Luck ahead of him in that rainbow-sided car with the green hood. And that would be 6th position for McAllister. And all right, he had a bit of help with the safety car, but that's still been a good drive back from Sean.
It has, and he's just gaining in confidence these last few races. Had his first podium finish at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, and he's looking to build upon that coming in here this weekend. Actually had 2 podium finishes there, had another 3rd place run this morning, which is a great run, having had some problems yesterday in qualifying with that engine sensor that cost him about 5 miles an hour on the straight in qualifying. That's why he was down, I think, in the 7th position on the grid for this morning's race. But McAllister now is using that boost of confidence he's got over the last couple of race weekends, and he's really putting the pressure on Charlie Luck.
Yeah, and Charlie, well, he's got some experience himself, not in perhaps the best position to defend at the moment, but we'll see how that goes on. Sean McAllister right there, and then there's only another second or so up the road before Kenny Murillo would be the next target for Sean McAllister. But I'm waiting to see how far he gets up the field. Still the interest though, with now 6 seconds, count them, between Kingsley and Carrazzo, 1st and 2nd in the first of the 2 Kelly Moss Road and Race car, 16 and 27, and then the 3rd Kelly Moss Run car, albeit with the AM Alan Metney Motorsport as well, has got Riley Dickinson there. What I've not seen from Riley, if I'm honest, Jeremy, is any really determined overtaking manoeuvre. The pressure's been put on, yes, but there hasn't been any look down the inside, not really even any showing of the nose at the moment. And to be fair, Alan Metney is dealing with that pressure very well indeed, but I think Riley needs to have a little think and try something different.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there, John. I think you're absolutely right, because Riley, I think he definitely has the faster car. He showed that by putting the car on pole position in the qualifying, yesterday that was, wasn't it? But he's not close enough. I think Alan Metney's car looks pretty fleet on the straights, and it's also getting good braking into the corner as well with the anti-lock brake system they have to use for the Masters cars. And Metney, though, having to defend now this time into the keyhole. This is lap 22 that they're on right now, and if he's, I think, Ryan Dickens, he's got to kind of force Metney into making some sort of a mistake if he's going to have any opportunity to pounce and take that 3rd position away.
Coming down to 10 minutes. If you're new to this form of racing, the cars start off with enough fuel to do around about 50-55 minutes of racing. It was a 45-minute race today, so they'll be burning off that racing fuel. The cars will be getting lighter, but at the same time, of course, the performance of the Yokohama tyres, which I should say is very consistent through these longish single make races, they are very good, but it will be dropping away just a little bit. There's a few tweaks and nuances to the setup that you can make. Some people prefer the car to handle at its best when it's heavy. That sounds odd at the start of the race. Why would you want the car to handle at its best at the start of the race? Because if it's looking after its tyres, then you may just have a little bit of a grip advantage at the end of the race. Other people would say the other way around. No, I'll give up the start of the race. I want the car to come on really strongly at the end. But then you've got to manage that tyre. And that is exactly what all of these drivers, the decisions they will have had to make. Well, Sean McAllister across the stripe has caught Charlie Luck, and as they go down into turn 1, he does just pull out from behind the number 45 rainbow-sided Porsche and try to get down the inside, but that wasn't going to work in 2 cars that have such similar performance. Just ahead of them is the number 56 of Kenny Murillo, and that battle actually has dragged those 2 towards them. And as they go through the keyhole, Murillo just a little way from the apex of the corner is being caught ever so slightly, Jeremy, but that battle behind him, I think, is just getting a little bit closer. And here comes Sean McAllister, tries to go to the left and then dives down the inside. Lovely manoeuvre through the dummy to the left hand side, the high side as it would have been for turn 4. Now goes down the inside, not there, maybe a hint of a locked Yokohama as the unloaded tyre was turned in, but that was a super manoeuvre.
It was, wasn't it? Nice and incisive there. Great move again. That's just and it just exemplifies the fact he's just gaining in confidence this season. That was a really nice pass, perfectly executed, and you're right, that was right on the limit of braking there. A little bit of lock-up from an inside tire, but through he goes, and up now into sixth place for Sean McAllister. Really good comeback drive.
Yeah, very good, very good. Could easily have lost his concentration after what happened to him earlier on. Meanwhile, the other battle that we've been following is going through turn one and heading up towards the high point of the circuit at the keyhole at Mid-Ohio. And still, Alan Metni is doing what he's been doing since what was effectively the second lap, but the first full racing lap of the race. He's just driving up the middle of the road into the keyhole. That's not giving Riley Dickinson any opportunity to throw the car to driver's right and down the inside, get to the curb and the pointy bit, the apex of the corner first. And at the moment, Riley, well, I bet he knows the part number on the rear wing of that car. He'll know it off by heart because he's been staring at it for about the last 20-25 minutes. And he's not been able to find anywhere Jeremy Shaw, where his more-speed car is any better than the car in front. And this could be the advantage because we've got a spinner through the S's.
Well, that was Alametti who spun because Riley Dickinson poked his nose down the inside going down into turn 6 on this occasion. Unlike previously, Metni didn't give him the space. There was contact, and around goes Alan Metni.
Well, now that's going to be looked at. It won't give the position back to Alan, but I don't think he's going to be a very happy camper. He's dropped back down to where Sean McAllister is. So that is down in 5th and 6th position. Kenny Murillo's right in front of him now. So how did he miss the tyre wall there, Jeremiah? Did he just graze it with the back of the car as he went around? It looked to me as he almost did a 360 down there.
Yeah, let's have a look at it again here. And Riley Dickinson lunges to the inside there, and it was a late move, and I'm sure Alan Metni wasn't expecting it because the last time he'd looked in his mirrors before he turned in, the number 53 car wouldn't have been there. Unlike earlier on where they came out of the previous corner over the crest of the hill, they were almost side by side heading down the hill into 6th. This time they weren't, and Riley Dickinson, you know, if he's going to make a move there, it's got to be more incisive than that. Well, there's contact between the number 99 and number 11 car. Metni doesn't want to give up any more places, does he?
Well, he did hit the tyres, and it's deranged the back of his Porsche, including the underfloor at the back there. Underneath the engine, you get a little bit of downforce from that, even in these cup cars. It's knocked off some of the very expensive badges that are on the back of that car as well. So maybe if Riley Dickinson was behind that there, he'd have a different set of part numbers to look at. But he did get a little tag from Sean McAllister going into turn 1. And I think that Sean McAllister came off the worst from that because Charlie Luck is back ahead of Sean McAllister there. And certainly when they went across the line, those positions were reversed. So looking at Alan Metni in 5th, McAllister in 6th, Luck in 7th, and Murillo has now pulled away a little bit and got a little bit of breathing space and has weathered the storm just a little bit after seemingly coming under pressure early on. Kingsley leads by 8.5 seconds now from Carrazzo. Dickinson is another 3 seconds or so behind, but I'm sure that incident will be being looked at by race control.
It is, John, and the decision has been made. There will be a penalty for car number 53, incident responsibility. So that is going to be very, very costly for Riley Dickinson's championship aspirations.
Well, and that's the sort of things on which championships can turn in these super competitive single make championship. He's shown McAllister coming down the inside of Charlie Luck into turn 4, but he was never really there, and Charlie was super late on the brakes like that. Charlie looking confident, growing in confidence as this race goes on. Under 5 minutes to go. Kingsley, Carrazzo, Dickinson will pull out of that, then he'll have to come to the pit lane, and that in terms of the championship is massive. And I almost sensed a little bit of the frustration, Jeremy. I was saying he'd been following for a long time, but he didn't seem to have anything to make a decisive move on Metni. But in championship terms, did he have to make that move, or should he maybe have just taken the points that he had in the bag?
Well, I mean, Alan Metney's third in the championship points table, so, you know, he's not going to give up anything. He's still got his sights on the championship. Oops, there's contact again now with Charlie Luck goes spinning around on the exit of the final corner, turn 13. Unlucky for some, certainly unlucky for Charlie Luck. That's a strange place for contact to happen.
Yes, and Charlie gets it pointing in the right direction. Eventually, he's going to have to run on the grass, I think. Be careful of that front splitter as through goes the rest of the field. Now, did he get a helping hand? Oh, he did. Yeah, he did get a helping hand. McAllister did give him a little nudge. Coming out of the corner, oddly.
Well, that's the thing, John. I mean, they're full acceleration there. So, you know, these cars have paddle shifts and flat shift
technology. In the middle of the corner.
It's weird that he would, you know, why the number 45 car would have checked up apparently there. I mean, that's the only way that the other car could have had a run on him. That was a really odd incident.
Again, it will be being looked at.
Number 53 car, by the way, John, has served his drive-through penalty. Excuse me.
Yeah, thank you. So that will elevate Kenny Murillo to a podium position. But I've got a strong suspicion that Alan Metney wants that podium position back. He was in third when he was unceremoniously dumped off to the right-hand side of the S's. Oh, and Metney's in the pit lane. Metney peels off as well. So is that the damage that has caused him to come in? I haven't seen him being called for a penalty, and
yes,
I don't think he's done. He has.
Yes, he has incident response, but that must have been the contact between himself and it was Sean McAllister, wasn't it, as they headed towards turn one?
Yeah, well, could have been called for blocking then in that case, if that's the case. Well, that's a very interesting one. So the stewards' room will be very busy indeed. Race director with a few people to talk to after this one as we head into the last couple of minutes. It hasn't bothered. It hasn't bothered Kingsley at the front of the field.
He's out on his own, isn't he? He's literally making hay while the sun shines here at Mid-Ohio. He's running serenely into the not quite sunset, but it's really a great effort by Jeff. Look, the stewards have been busy. It was incident responsibility. It wasn't blocking, and it was for the incident with car number 11, but also now the number 11 car, Sean McAllister, who's now up into the fourth position. He too has got a penalty as a result of the incident with Charlie Luck a few laps ago as well. But that was a really strange incident because they should be accelerating flat out coming out of the carousel. Why there would be any contact between two identical cars heading towards the start-finish line? That was a really strange one.
Very strange indeed, Jeremy. But the decision's been made, and we have seen this class in the past have rather too much contact, and I suspect that the race director, and I don't blame race control at all, does not want on a 3-race weekend to let this get away. There's one more race tomorrow, and they are making sure everybody knows what is expected of them. What a great race. What a great race for Kelly Moss Road and Race to have the top 2 positions. Almost took the full podium there until the issue for Alan Metney, who has since had a penalty on him as well. So a few frustrations boiling over here. 29 seconds to go in the second race of the weekend for the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. Jeff Kingsley then in the green and white car comes through to start his last lap. It will be white flag, I'm sure, this time around, and yes, indeed it is. He's cleared off. Nobody has been anywhere near him, not from the start, not from the restart. Riley Dickinson, remember, started on the front row, dropped down. He's going to get 4th position, and he has been into the pits, as Jeremy said, to serve his drive-through. I think he can find himself, count himself, Riley, this week, this race, Jeremy, a little fortunate to have got back to 4th position. He's benefited from other people having penalties served on them later in the race.
Yeah, and here's Kurt Swearingen kicking up a bit of dust there at the carousel, and he's got the recovering Sean McAllister, recovering again, Sean McAllister behind him. This is a battle for 8th and 9th on the road, but Kurt Swearingen has a pretty handy lead over his main adversary in the Gold Cup category, Efren Castro, who did set the fastest lap of the race, by the way, a couple of laps ago at Castro, in the second position in the class, and a couple of positions behind the leader, Kurt Swearingen.
It's Jeremy Shaw, I'm John Hindhaugh, and we're coming round to a fabulous victory in about half a lap's time for Jeff Kingsley, who, in fact, not even that, in 1 corner's time, he's gone through. There's the checkered flag, and he will pick up top points here in round 2 of 3, or race 2 of 3 at Mid-Ohio. That's about as close to a perfect race, Jeremy, as I think anybody could drive. It'll be Carrazzo in second. Kenny Murillo, what a result for the 56 team, and for Kenny Murillo in 3rd position. Came under pressure, but weathered that storm, again helped by the penalties. Dickinson will come through in 4th position, as long as he can get that to the line, and the top 5 will be made up by Michael Manella, who's had a fairly quiet race in the context of what's been going on. Actually, I'm just minding my own business, I'll be fine. Kurt Swearingen will take the 17 car to victory lane for the Cup class, ahead of Efren Castro, who was frustrated in his efforts to get to the back of that car by interlopers from the other categories, and those two will continue their fight in the Gold Cup category. But Kingsley, Jeff Kingsley, my goodness me, get the videotape for that, Jeff. I'm sure it'll be some kind of digital file nowadays, but that was an absolute masterclass.
Perfect drive there for Jeff Kingsley. That'll extend his championship lead even more for this Kelly Moss Road and Race team, the most successful team by a long way in this championship history. Again, carrying the colours of Racing for Children's there on that green and white car. Brilliant performance by him. A quick note here for Riley Dickinson, though, who set the fastest lap of the race on the final go round. He was trying to catch up with Kenny Murillo, so maybe some consolation. No championship points, though. It'll be 4th place position then for Riley Dickinson.
Well, the defining part of the race behind Jeff Kingsley and Sebastian Carrazzo were the penalties, and I think Alan Metney will feel particularly aggrieved, as it was him that was originally bumped out of 3rd position, but of course he had been doing a bit of incident responsibility as well, so he got called for that. But ultimately, the top 2, and I think Sebastian Carrazzo, actually, we probably haven't said quite enough about him, Jeremy, because he made a very strong move early on, took his chances, wasn't going to get near to Jeff, over 8 seconds at the end, but you've got to say that he took his chances very well and made sure he made the most of what he had today and gets 2nd place as a reward.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, 22-year-old from Guaynabo in Puerto Rico is a great performance, really, by Carrazzo. His best result so far since moving up to the platinum category.
One more race tomorrow. Can Jeff Kingsley do it again? Kurt Swearingen, he's looking for a full weekend of points as well. Thanks to Jeremy Shaw, I'm John Hindhaugh. See you tomorrow.